Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Welcome everybody to MACFEST 2025. Salam, wherever you're watching us from. Let us know in the chat where you're watching us from. We're saying hello from France, from the UK, and from a couple of other places, but you're going to find that out throughout the event. We've got a wonderful group of young people, ambitious young people concerned about environment. Today's panel is the youth panel on environment, and our host is the one and only Sorhaila Latip. Professor Sorhaila, PhD, is currently the director of the MSU Mindanao Cultural Heritage Center. She's a multimedia practitioner and educator from the Department of Communication and Media Studies of Mindanao State University in Marawi City. She finished her Doctor of Philosophy from Mindanao State University with a focus on corpus linguistics of the Mindanao language. Her talents include being a writer, a poet, and a broadcaster, and a fabulous host, you'll see. She's the founder and convener of Sorhaila Mobile Library, MIL for Ulama and Bilantadi, Abai Community Program for Lanao. She's also the lead producer of Kumusta Ka. Oh my God, I hope I'm going to say it correctly. Kumusta Ka Kalumbayan listening post to collective programs. So over to you, Sorhaila.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. And yes, you have tried your very best to read all of those. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the MACFEST 2025. It's our International Youth Speak Out on Environment. And of course, join us in this passionate young voices who will be joining us around the globe. And as they unite to address urgent environmental challenges and share their innovative solutions, and of course, inspire all of us to do some actions and for our sustainable future. So get ready for the powerful discussions that we will be having with them. So let me start off with, of course, introducing to you our very chief guest for tonight, because Sherilyn MacGregor, the professor of environmental politics at the University of Manchester, will be joining us tonight to give some comments and, of course, some of the wonderful inputs for our young environmentalists. So to do that, I would like to have the honor to introduce, of course, our chief guest for tonight. She is Sherilyn MacGregor, a professor of environmental politics at the University of Manchester. Her research explores relationships between environmental unsustainability and social inequality, applying insights from environmental and climate justice scholarship. She's also into ecofeminism and other critical political theories to inform eco-social change. And of course, she has been teaching environmental politics courses for more than 20 years, where she actually engaged with university students and environmental activists from all over the world at universities in Canada, the USA, France, Australia, and the UK. She's also an author of many books, articles, and policy reports, an editor of environmental politics, and an advisor to the UK Women's Environmental Network. So we will be very glad to hear her later. But of course, aside from Sherilyn, we have wonderful students who will be sharing their thoughts about environment in their own countries, where they are actually representing right now. They will also discuss to us possible solutions to protect the environment and, of course, detect problems. So first is we're going to share with you the names of our interesting students, and then afterwards I'll be calling them one by one to give us the problems that they have detected. So let me first start with introducing to you all five of them. actually 6 of them, the 5 members of the panel, actually coming from different 5 areas. But the first is actually Hadassah Dekary from the school of Sheikh Abdullah Al Farsi Secondary from Mombasa, Kenya, to be followed by wonderful sisters from Mearns Castle High School in the persons of Inarah Ali and Raniyah Ali from East Renfrewshire. I hope I pronounced that well, in Glasgow, to be followed by Asmaa Mohammed Dhannon from Cambridge International School, Erbil. And of course, we also have Muhammed Azzam Muhammed from Johannes Kepler Gymnasium in Germany. And the last but not the least is, of course, Yasin Abdeselam from Granada, Spain. All right, from University of Granada. And all right, we are going to start. So are we good with everyone who are there at our social media platforms right now? And of course, those who are on our, of course, Zoom right now. So maybe it would be nice to have and start, so that we don't lose Hadassah once again. So maybe we can ask our somebody from Dekary school or the mother of Hadassah Dekary to introduce Hadassah and then her PowerPoint to follow. Hadassah, take it away. May we have the mother of Hadassah to introduce Hadassah first, and then Hadassah can start.
Okay, this is the best picture that Hadassah Dekary.
Close it off.
She's in Form 2. She's in Form 2. She's called Hadassah. Okay, she's the Hadassah Dekary. Hello?
Yes, we are hearing you. We are hearing you. Go ahead. Introduce Hadassah.
Called Hadassah Dekary. She's in Form 2. She loves the environment. She takes care of the environment. I've taught her. I've known her for the last 10 years. I've taught her. And she's an environmental philanthropist. So she's so passionate about caring for the environment, planting trees, and just passionate about the environment. I think that's all.
MashaAllah, thank you very much to the mom of Hadassah. And now let's have Hadassah. Now let's listen to the our very young panelist from Kenya. May we now hear from Hadassah, and of course we will have our technical group to show the PowerPoint of Hadassah.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. Hi everyone. Before I start, let me give you guys a quote. Plans to protect air, water, wilderness, and wildlife, and influx plans to protect man. And I'm very proud to be a philanthropist in environmental.
I think we had some technical.
Yes, we can, please go ahead. Hadassah, we can hear you.
In Kenya. And for the first time,
Maybe as you are giving us the situation, Hadassah, and having some technical issues, maybe we request Tom to just run through also the slides as she is coping. Yes. Hadassah, go ahead.
So the first central issue in Kenya, especially, but I'm having some technical issues on my side.
Go ahead, Hadassah. Right. I think we are experiencing some technicalities from Hadassah's end. So we saw already the first problem happening in Kenya right now. And I think Sherilyn was able to take note of that. So thank you for your sharing, Hadassah. We'll get back to you later as soon as you're stable on that. Yeah. I hope you can still hear us. All right. So let's now move on to the next panelists. Actually, one of the interesting panel here is actually, I think they are sisters from Glasgow. And of course, they will be introduced by their mom, Aisha. Aisha Ali will be introducing the children, the very beautiful ladies, Inarah and Raniyah. Take it away, Miss Aisha. Introduce your beautiful children.
We didn't hear you because you had those on.
Yeah, we had a technicality there. I thought it was my connection, but maybe can we do it again, Aisha?
Yeah,
we hear you.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Yes. So my name's
It's a lot
Aisha.
better.
Assalamualaikum, and good evening to everybody from Dubai. I'll be introducing my daughters Inarah and Raniyah, who are representing Glasgow and Scotland, and also their school, Mearns High School, and the topics and subjects that are affecting them and to do with climate change. So I will pass you over to Inarah, and she will talk about the problems that we face day to day, and Raniyah will talk about the solutions.
Right. So let's start first with, yes.
Hi everyone,
Raniyah.
good afternoon. Today I want to talk about something that affects every single one of us, whether we live in the Highlands or in the heart of Glasgow. I'm talking about climate change, not as some distant threat, but as a present, urgent crisis that's already reshaping the world we live in. Let's start here at home. The climate crisis in Scotland is awful. Scotland is famous for its stunning natural beauty, lochs, glens and rolling hills, but these landscapes are changing. The average temperature in Scotland has increased by nearly 1 degree since 1960, and it may sound small, but with even 1 degree, it causes major changes to ecosystems, wildlife, farming and our health. We're seeing more frequent and intense rainfall, erosion of coastal areas, declining biodiversity. Our native birds, insects and plant species are disappearing or moving north in search of suitable conditions and warmer seas, damaging marine life and affecting Scotland's fishing industries. Now, let's zoom in closer and talk about Glasgow. Glasgow is Scotland's largest city, full of creativity, culture and history. But like so many cities, it's also facing serious climate-related problems. Air pollution. Glasgow has historically had some of the worst air quality in the UK, especially along busy roads like Hope Street. Pollution from cars and buses contribute to respiratory illnesses, especially in children and the elderly. Another issue is urban flooding. Because of heavy rainfall and poor drainage in older parts of the city, streets and homes are flooding more often. In 2021, flooding affected homes, roads and train services, costing millions in damage. Another is fuel poverty. Here's a side of the climate crisis we don't talk about enough. As energy prices rise and winters become harsher and more unpredictable, many Glaswegians are struggling to heat their homes. In some parts of the city, over 30% of households are in fuel poverty, meaning they spend a large chunk of their income just to stay warm. And the last one is carbon emissions. Although Glasgow is aiming to become net zero by 2030, the city still produces a lot of greenhouse gases from transportation, buildings and industry. And later, Raniyah will tell you about the solutions we have to some of these problems. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that sharing, Inarah. Well, definitely we'll be listening to your sister Raniyah later for the solutions. But for now, thank you for the problems that you have mentioned. And yes, they will be reacted upon by Sherilyn later. And she will be talking about those things that she was able to catch up in your presentation. So before Dr. Sherilyn or Professor Sherilyn will be sharing her ideas, then let's first hear from our representatives from Cambridge International School, Erbil. Our Asmaa, Mohammed, Dhannon will be introduced to us by Dr. Ala. Maybe you can share your camera as well and start the introduction, Dr. Ala.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so glad to be joining you for today. I'd like to introduce my daughter, Asmaa Mohammed. She's from Cambridge International School. She's currently moved to grade 10, and she's 15 years old. And her topic is about recycling the waste bottles. So I will pass to Asmaa. She will start.
Right. So now we will have our, our daughter from Cambridge International School. Asmaa, take it away.
Wait, I'll just share my presentation. Okay. Hello, my name is Asmaa Mohammed. I'm from Iraq and I'm 15 years old. I'm going to be representing Cambridge International School, and my presentation is about recycle waste plastic bottles. So first, I'm going to start with a short video just to give you an idea of what I'm about to talk about. So yeah. Did you know that plastic bottles are one of the biggest major wastes in Iraq? So the hidden cost of plastic bottles. Did you know it takes over 1,000 years to decompose, and out of 6 bottles, only 1 is recycled? And when you burn these plastics, so many types of toxic gases are released into the environment, such as nitrogen oxide and sulfur dioxide, and these can link to cancer and breathing problems and so many other diseases. So there are so many different types of ways to recycle these plastic bottles. So I'm going to talk about this project, and I think it's an amazing way to put these recyclable plastics to good use. So these are the materials that we need. We just need waste plastic bottles and plastic waste to fill these bottles. We need binding material, steel sheet, and waste plastic to insulate the roof. So this is how to do this project. For step 1, you're going to be filling these plastic bottles with sand or any type of waste plastic. For step 2, you're going to fill the base with cement and you can start construction. And for step 3, you can make the wall stronger using plastic. What are we working on? So step 4, you stack all these bottles and it can form walls. Step 5, forming windows and roof. And step 6, covering inside and outside with cement to support it and make it strong. And as you can see the results, it can make a beautiful house and a home for somebody just by using these small plastic bottles. And these are the effects that this project has on the environment. It reduces plastic waste, diverts thousands of tons of plastic, and it helps prevent the death of over 1 million marine animals annually. It cuts carbon emissions, it helps with pollution, and it helps with carbon control. So this is the conservative effect. It cuts construction by 30 to 50%. It saves non-renewable materials like clay and coal, and it's a strong insulator and earth resistant. And it promotes recycling. So these are the project goals. Okay. So it reduces plastic waste by diverting 25 to 75% of discarded bottles from landfills and oceans. And this is such a more affordable way for sustainable housing. It's low cost and eco-friendly, and it helps marine life protection, and it saves so many marine animals in the ocean. It reduces plastic ocean, and it's a safeguard for oceans and wildlife. And these are future expectations. So by 2025, we launch it and like show awareness and bring more light to this topic. So we're gonna need like 10 to 15% of plastic bottle waste, and reused in community education begins. By 2026, local impact, we can expand this project to schools and rural areas and make it more local. So by 2027, regional expansion, broad adoption in multiple regions, and by 2028, major shift, wide-scale implementation up to 75% of plastic bottles reused. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you very much for that. That is very interesting, Asmaa. We will be asking you more about your solutions later, but for now, let's listen to Mohammed Azzam Mohammed from Johannes Kepler Gymnasium, Germany, to be introduced to us also by Dr. Ala. Take it away, Dr. Ala.
Hello again. I'm going to introduce Mohammed Azzam now. He's my nephew. He's from Germany, and he's a student in Johannes Kepler Gymnasium School in Stuttgart, and he's going to present his topic to you. I hope you enjoy it. Go ahead, Mohammed.
Hello, everyone. Today I want to talk to you about something we all use every day, plastic. At first, plastic seems very useful. It's cheap, light, and can be made into almost anything. But behind all the convenience, plastic causes big problems for our planet, animals, and even our health. Let's start with the environment. Plastic is made from oil, which is a fossil fuel. That means it already harms the planet just by being produced. But it gets worse. Most plastic is not biodegradable. It can take hundreds of years to break down. So when we throw plastic away, it doesn't just disappear. It stays in our landfills, or even worse, it ends up in nature, in rivers, forests, and oceans. Now let's talk about animals. Every year, millions of animals are harmed by plastic waste. Sea turtles, for example, often mistake plastic bags for jellyfish and eat them. This can block their stomachs and cause them to die. Birds eat plastic pieces thinking they are food, and they starve with stomachs full of trash. It's not just sad, it's a crisis for wildlife. But plastic also affects us humans. Tiny pieces of plastic called microplastics, and they have been found in the air, in water, and even in our food. That means we are probably eating and drinking plastic without even knowing it. Scientists are still studying how this affects our health, but it's already very worrying. So I prepared the slides for the solution. I'm just gonna share it. 1 second, please. So let's learn about recycling in Germany. This is how Germany implemented it. Germany got a brilliant idea that motivated people to clean the planet. They added machines in most of the supermarkets to deposit bottles. For every plastic bottle, you get 25 cents, and for every glass bottle, you'll get 8 to 15 cents. And that's how good it worked. 1 million tons of CO2 are getting saved annually. That's equal to taking 200,000 cars off the road. It reduces plastic pollutions in our oceans. Currently, 8 million tons enters oceans yearly. And also, it creates a circular economy where waste becomes something new. This is a map which shows countries that use the deposit bottle system. How you can see, the most industrialized countries use the deposit bottle system because it's very expensive. For example, the vending machines cost about 20,000 euros or dollars. This is a code since 1991. In 1991, there wasn't any deposit bottle system, so just 12% of the bottles got recycled in Germany. In 2003, they introduced the deposit bottle system, and it got up to 72% of bottles that got recycled. In 2010, they optimized the system, and it got up to 85% recycled bottles. And the current status is now 98% of the bottles that are getting recycled. It's also a help for poor people because there are many homeless or poor people that can make money and help saving the environment. For example, at festivals, people just throw away their deposit bottles, and at the Carnival Festival, people throw away about 10 to 15 million bottles yearly. That's about 2.5 million euros. This is a tip from me. Before you throw anything away, think about whether or not it can be recycled. If it can, make sure you're putting it in the correct bin. Some places have separate bins for each type of material. So if you want to, you can write in the chat what you will recycle and what you learned about the presentation. Thank you very much. This was my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it.
Right. Thank you very much for that, Mohammed, Azzam. Thank you very much for that. Now let's have, of course, our last but not the least presenter right now. Definitely, he's going to be introduced by me because he's young yet. He's one of the best that we have here also. His name is Yasin, of course, Abdeselam, and he's 18 years old. And he's studying double degree right now here at the double degree on law and political science. And he wanted to become a diplomat in the future. So, of course, he will be giving us also the problems that he saw from his place where he is representing right now from Granada, Spain. So take it away, Yasin.
So good afternoon. I'm going to present the major problem that I see currently in the Spanish environmental situation. So first of all, I wanted to put you a little bit on situation. In the next slide of my presentation, I wanted to share the geographical and also the temperatures that we can find in Spain right now. As you can see, Spain is mostly mountainous country, but also the temperatures are so high compared to other European countries like UK or even Italy and Greece that are also in the Mediterranean Sea. The normal temperature in summer in Spain is between 35 to 45 degrees. So I think the difference is quite large compared to other countries. And this is having a massive, let's say, is a big issue in the country right now. And it's something that should be let's say, find a solution from all the society. In the next slide, I comment that this is a reason of climate change. And the first situation or problem that we can find is that temperatures are rising to an extent that it isn't normal. For example, seasons like spring are coming on times that it should be winter, or the seasons have just become one, and there's no division or separation between the temperatures. Also, we are depending right now on aeolic and solar power as renewable energies, but the problem is as climate change make it so unstable that sometimes we are not sure that we can depend or rely on those energies. For example, the last month, I don't know if some of you read the news, but we had a massive power outcome of space shortage, and we were like a whole day without light because technically it's not the fault of renewables, but it's the fault of the climate change affecting them. Also, a thing or problem that is common to all the countries is the loss of nature, and with it comes the loss of animal diversity. We have lost most of our forest. In fact, Spain is in the way of becoming a desert country. Desertification and also the increasing lack of water is a problem that we are seeing right now because we used to rely on tap water, for example, or lake, but right now we are going to have to spend money on potabilizers and also making water potable from all the resources that we have. In the next slide, I wanted to share not only the theoretical problem, but what we are seeing, what we can see in the practical thing. For example, in the first picture, I'm showing Almeria, which is the southern city of Spain. It's currently the biggest desert in Europe. As you can see, there's no tree, no bushes. It's just desertification. And of course, we cannot harvest crop there or not have any animal or any human being living in this situation. Also on the second picture, I'm showing how right now in Spain, we are relying totally on greenhouses. Most of our agriculture is set on greenhouses on the south or the north, and we cannot just rely on the situation on the crop or soil because right now most of it is destroyed. There is drought throughout all the country, so we have to find some solutions like that. In fact, like interesting data, the third picture shows the massive greenhouses that we have in Spain. That is the only visible human construction that we can see from space. Actually, the people who are working in the space can see a white dot in Spain from all the greenhouses that we have. And also a major problem is how there are some weather crises that we are seeing. For example, in the last picture, that's a picture from Valencia. And maybe if you remember 6 months ago, there was a massive flood that basically destroyed the city. But it's logical that the people who built the city 50 years ago didn't prevent that some catastrophe like floods or earthquake could prevent so much damage. The city was completely damaged, and there were people who died in the process, and also the economy just stopped. So I think that the climate change is a problem that affects all the areas that we can have in a country. And that would be my part of problems. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that, Yasin, right? And actually, Yasin here is our the last from the panel. And we actually would like to go back to Hadassah if her connection is a bit better right now. Can you speak to us for a while, Hadassah? Maybe your connection is already good. Would you like to state more of the problem that you have actually noticed, Hadassah? Thank you. Yes.
My name is much better. Thank you.
Yes, please go ahead.
So, as you all have heard, my name is Hadassah Dekary, and I'll be representing Kenya and its problems and solutions. Now, Kenya is known as a country of wilderness and of savanna grasslands and a marine life. But sadly, all the three are being threatened at this moment. And of our environmental issues, Could you please bring up the slide? Sorhaila.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. We can hear you.
The slides, please.
All right. So there it is. You ended up on the slide on the damages and the ecosystem. So please continue from there.
Yes, so I was talking about fishing gear pollution. Our fishermen in Kenya and mostly all around the world, they use plastic and it often gets discarded in the ocean. And this fishing gear has many impacts. First of all, it damages marine ecosystem as it accumulates under the sea floors and it negatively affects the biodiversity of the ocean. It produces microplastics, which are just plastics in smaller microbiota particles, which are indigested by marine animals, leading to serious health problems. And marine life, you cannot affect one part of the ecosystem without having big impacts. Plans to protect the air and water, wilderness and wildlife are plans to protect man. So we also have ghost fishing, which is entangling marine life. Now this is when this plastic left in the ocean suffocates our marine life and they die inside there without anybody actually wanting them to die. Then we have climate change and information gaps. Information on climate change is not effectively disseminated, especially in rural areas. Now this leaves these populations at a disadvantage and creates a gap between traditional knowledge and modern environmental understanding. Kenya is a world of traditional culture, and this affects climate change by bringing vulnerability during drought because people in the rural areas don't know much about climate change. It widens environmental inequality. Agriculture is our main essence of everything. So if people in the rural areas have no idea on how to make their agriculture be more effective, it affects everyone. Deforestation and lack of integrity. And a quote by Henry David Thoreau states that there is nothing in which birds differ with man more than the way they build and live the landscape as they found it. Deforestation is a critical problem, and partnership with integrity is even worse. In forest conservation efforts, often there's no reliable way to confirm that afforestation really did happen. Everybody's talking about planting more trees, but how many trees have been planted so far? There is no way to actually confirm that these trees were actually planted. This uncertainty is really alarming. Forests in Kenya, forest cover in Kenya has declined from 10% to a whopping 6% in the recent years. While the government has promoted afforestation, there is a concern over transparency and effectiveness of these initiatives. And that's my conclusion for the problems in which are affecting Kenyan environment.
All right, we will be continuing on the solutions later, Hadassah. So thank you very much for your presentation. Now we move on to a little reaction from Sherilyn MacGregor from, of course, from Manchester, because one of the things that we see from these young children right now is that they're very clever in terms of sharing all of the things that they have actually shared today. And for mashallah, for someone who is from here in the Philippines and hearing somebody from Kenya, Germany, from Iraq, they have various problems that we all have, and we all see the similarities there. And of course, it would be nice to hear a little from Sherilyn. Sherilyn, take it away before we move on to the solutions that they could share.
Thank you, Professor Sorhaila. Hello and salam, everyone. It was very interesting to listen to all of these presentations. Everyone spoke very passionately and as you say, very, very clever. students who are thinking about environmental issues, particularly problems as they see them on the ground where they are in the world. And it's often interesting when you think about young people and youth thinking about environmental problems. We often think about they're thinking about the future, and of course they're thinking about the future, but they also think about today and the problems now that we are facing now, and that they are facing in their countries, in their communities now. And there were some very interesting common themes. These are not a surprise for anyone who knows about global environmental crises. Of course, climate change was a common theme for everyone. And this is, of course, an overarching problem that affects everything because it is so interconnected, and so many of the causes of the problem of the climate crisis are interconnected. So we heard about some of the causes of, certainly the extraction of fossil fuels to produce plastic, for example, is just one example. But obviously the extraction and use of fossil fuels is, of course, one of the biggest drivers of climate change, of carbon emissions. And we know that this, of course, has a deep cause, which is, of course, the global economy, the global capitalist economy that needs to produce all of the things that we like to consume, and possibly then also waste and not recycle, like plastic bottles, like that many of the young people have talked about. And of course, there's a lot of impacts that they mentioned, impacts on people's health, human health, with air pollution, with microplastics, with experiencing the extreme of heat and of flooding. And these, of course, not only affect health, but also livelihood and the types of ways that people can support themselves to earn a living through farming or fishing or many other industries. The presentations were not only thinking about humans, of course, and the effects on humans, and this is something that most of the presentations stressed, is that the loss and the damage to ecosystems are affecting other species that we share the planet with, animals in the ocean and on land. And we, of course, have to think about how what kinds of losses that we are experiencing in so many parts of the world. I won't get on to the solutions. Some of you already started to talk about the solutions, but it's very important to think about, again, when you talk about the problems, that the causes of the problem are so deep, and they not only come from an interconnected relationship of different types of actors, whether it's governments, corporations, militaries, populations in different parts of the world. But we also have to think about inequalities and the fact that so many of these problems are driven by global inequalities, where those who have benefited from the problems, benefited from extracting fossil fuels and producing the types of products that lead to ecological problems. Though there are those who benefit and extract quite a lot of wealth from these industries, but those who are experiencing the vulnerability, the health impacts, the loss of land, the loss of livelihood, these are people who have not benefited from this global economy and from this extractive economy. So we see a wide gap between those who are causing the problem and those who are suffering from the problem. We need to often think about what are the ways to go about repairing this inequality, to address the inequality And I think many of the presentations really put us on the road to thinking about, okay, what is to be done? What are the types of solutions? Some of them may be technical, as I think we've already seen a little glimpse of, and some of them will be political, but it would be interesting to hear next what kinds of solutions the young people would like to advocate.
Yes, definitely, Sherilyn. Thank you very much for that, because I am also very excited to know more about the solutions that they have with them right now. Because as you said, the world is actually having so much in common, but definitely we have probably social and political issues that we can look into, but in their very young, clever minds, definitely they could share so much. So let's hear first from Inarah Ali and Raniyah Ali. I think it's Raniyah who's going to be saying much on the solution right now. So maybe let's have Raniyah Ali again from Glasgow. Take it away, Raniyah.
Assalamualaikum everyone. So just as you heard my sister Inarah, she was talking about the problems that are happening in the UK and Glasgow especially. And now I'm here to talk about the solutions of things we can do to try and help this. So schools across Scotland, the UK and beyond are stepping up to tackle plastic waste. By introducing reusable bottles, students are issued or encouraged to bring their own metal or sturdy plastic bottles. Multiple refilling stations are being installed on campus, making it easy and free to refill throughout the day. And they're also banning single-use plastics completely. Cafeterias and vending machines are removing bottled water and replacing them with refill options. Some schools eliminate plastic cutlery and straws altogether. That's what my school have done. And they also have eco-ambassador programs. Student-led groups organize campaigns, posters, assemblies, social media to promote reuse and reduce plastic waste. These initiatives contribute to cleaner campuses, lower carbon footprints, and instill sustainable habits that students carry into their communities. So what are we doing in our school, or my school, Mearns Castle High School? I'm proud to say that sustainability is one of our core values at Mearns Castle High School. And let me share what we've been doing. So we've also been doing the reusable bottle initiative. We've encouraged every student and staff member to use single or reusable water bottles instead of single-use plastics. And our refilling stations were installed across the school, making it easy to stay hydrated without any waste. We also have our plastic reduction campaigns. Our Eco Committee runs regular awareness drives about avoiding plastics, especially with plastic water bottles and straws. And we're moving towards banning single-use plastic items in the canteen as well. We also have a litter trap STEM program. As part of the STEM Skip the Flow competition, students designed a model trap to prevent litter entering waterways. The project not only reduces plastic pollution, but also connects classroom learning to real-world action. And our last thing, integrating sustainability into culture as well. Through assemblies, classes, posters, sustainability is woven into our school culture, reinforced by students, leaders, teachers, and green events too. Our values poster prominently includes sustainability, reminding us daily that caring for our environment is one of our guiding principles. And it says it all around the school as well on many posters and in assemblies every single week. Thank you so much for listening to the solutions of how to climate change.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Rania. It's really interesting that you have that kind of initiative in your school. So maybe this time, before we lose again Hadassah to give her solutions, before we move on to the other members of the panel. Hadassah? You are muted, Hadassah. Click on your microphone. Yes, there you go. Go ahead. Maybe the PowerPoint presentation for the solution for Hadassah. Yes, take it away, my dear.
So for the solutions, we're going to start with fishing gears. Now fishing gears are plastic, right? So what are you going to do about this plastic? I thought that we could replace plastics with biodegradable polymers, just like in South Korea. In South Korea, they replace plastics with biodegradable polymers, which, well, as they are called biodegradable, so they don't get into the organisms and harm them. Then we have education and awareness. We're already doing that currently, and I'm so grateful to be in this. We need to spread the awareness that these fishing gears The people usually live in the ocean has some really big impact. Then we have ghost gear removal and mitigation. This is where we'll be looking for sea divers or people who know how to swim to go into the ocean and remove those ghost gears. And that's not an easy job, but with ambition, we can do anything. Then we have recycling programs. We'll be using the plastic after its use has been done. Then we can turn it to something else and even sell it. Then for climate change, I have a quote that says, we need to replace our carbonic footprints, our large carbonic footprints with forests. For the first solution, we have bridging the gap. Rural and urban environment is really different, but they all have the same impact. We have to bridge the gap between people who are in the rural areas and the urban areas. Climate resilient infrastructure. With the upcoming floods and droughts, we really need infrastructure that can fight this. Then collaboration with locals. Environment is everywhere. It is me, you, and everything that you see around us. We have to collaborate with those people around us in the ground to make sure that the solutions get into work. Then lastly, we have the solutions for deforestation. It's not the government's responsibility to stop deforestation and encourage deforestation, but it's everybody's responsibility. Every single individual has a say on how the future will be. What if the future environment starts asking us, mother or father, what happened to trees? I just see them in TVs. How will you answer them? We have independent monitoring where you have to take charge and make sure that these trees are planted and are secured. Let's say you plant a tree, you have to make sure that it grows into a healthy tree and whatever you did actually has an impact. Then we have public awareness. Most people think that deforestation is a small matter, but these trees are water catchment areas. They help reduce wind, and they even have our beautiful animals. Imagine if all of this goes. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Hadassah. Very interesting solutions that you as a young student right now, having that kind of mindset would definitely be helping the world in the future. So thank you for that. So now we move on to Asmaa, of course, and then after Asmaa, we'll be moving on to Muhammad Azzam. So Asmaa, can you also give your solutions right now? Yes.
Yeah, sure. I'll just share my screen. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about this project. It's a great way to recycle plastic bottles, and I feel like it's great for the environment. So these are the materials we need. We need waste plastic bottles. We need plastic waste to fill these bottles. We need binding material, steel sheets for the roof, and waste plastic to insulate the roof. So this is step-by-step on how to do it. So for step 1, we fill these plastic bottles with sand or any type of waste plastic. And for step 2, we fill this base with cement and we start construction. Step 3, we make the walls stronger and sturdier by using plastic string. So for step 4, we stack all of these bottles, and as you can see, it forms amazing walls. And by step 5, it forms windows and a roof. Step 6, we cover the inside and the outside with cement to support it and make it strong. And as you can see, the results is a beautiful house and can be a home for somebody. And the effects of the project on this environment reduces plastic by 1,000 tons of emissions annually. It cuts carbon emissions, it helps pollution control and carbon control. So this is the conservative effect. It cuts construction costs by 30 to 50%. So as you can see, it's cheaper And it's better for people who can't really afford to build houses using bricks. This is a way better way to do it. It saves non-renewable materials like clay and coal, and it promotes reuse and recycling. It's also has very strong insulation, and it's actually very earthquake resistant. So this is the project goals. We want to decrease plastic waste by diverting 25 to 75% of the discarded bottles from landfills and oceans. And this is a much more affordable, sustainable housing. It's built low cost and eco-friendly. And marine life protection, it helps save lives of the animals in the ocean. So this is future expectation. By 2025, we have launch and awareness, starts pilot housing projects about like 10 to 15% of plastic bottle waste. And by 2026, we'll have local impact. We can expand this project to schools, rural areas, and make it more local. And by 2027, regional expansion by using broad adoption in multiple regions, 50% of plastic bottle waste reused, measurable reduction in land and water pollution. And by 2028, major shift, wide-scale implementation up to 75% of plastic bottles, reuse, significant decreases in marine and environmental pollution. Thank you. So by using this project, we can raise awareness, like bring more light to this topic. And I feel like this is a much more affordable idea, and it's a great way to recycle plastic bottles. I hope you enjoyed my presentation.
Thank you, Asmaa. Definitely. I myself was able to enjoy that because here in the Philippines, it's really very difficult to build our own homes and our own houses. It's quite expensive, but we have so many garbage. So yeah, we can discuss more of these when Sherilyn will be sharing later. So after you, we will be giving it to Azzam, Muhammad Azzam, our youngest actually in the team, to give us also his own solutions to what problems he was able to identify. So Azzam, take it away.
Hello. So as I already said, we have bottle deposit machines, also known as reverse vending machines. These are the machines where we turn empty bottles and cans and get money back. It may seem like a small thing, but these machines are actually very important and helpful for the environment, for the economy, and for people. Let's start with how they work. When you buy a drink in Germany, for example, you usually pay a small extra fee called a deposit, or in German, Pfand. On top of the price, this is usually 25 cents. When you return the empty bottle to the machine, you get your money back. The machine scans the barcode, checks the shape, and sorts the bottle for recycling. Now, why is this system good? It protects the environment. Thanks to bottle deposit machines, millions of bottles and cans are not thrown away in the trash or in nature. Instead, they are returned and properly recycled. This helps reduce plastic pollution, saves energy, and cuts down on waste. Recycling one plastic bottle uses much less energy than making a new one. It encourages recycling. Let's be honest, many people are not very careful about sorting their waste. But when you give them 25 cents back for each bottle, suddenly everyone has a reason to return it. This system motivates people to recycle, even those who normally wouldn't care. In fact, countries with deposit system like Germany, Norway, or Sweden have very high recycling rates, often over 90%. In Germany, that's 98%. That's much better than countries without deposit system. As I already mentioned, bottle deposit machines also help people in need. In many cities, you see people collecting bottles in parks, at festivals, or from public bins. For them, the deposit system is a way to earn a bit of money. It's not perfect, but it gives them a chance to make something out of waste. And these machines are usually quick and simple to use. You put your bottle in it, it makes a little noise, and out comes your receipt. It's clean, automatic, and doesn't need a cashier or extra staff. That saves time for customers and for shops. So, in conclusion, bottle deposit machines are a small part of everyday life, but they make a big difference. They protect the environment, encourage recycling, support social fairness, and are very easy to use. If more countries use this system, the world would be a much cleaner place. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Alhamdulillah. It's really very interesting from a young lad like you, keeping all of this in mind right now. And of course, we are going to have the last but not the least solution from Yasin Abdeselam from Spain. Take it away, Yasin.
So I wanted to suggest three solutions, devices on 3 slides. In the first slide, which would be the next, is talking about energy, which of course the main problem is fossil fuels. So the major solution would be exterminate the using of fossil fuels, not just on business level, but also on politics, to demand the stop right now of this type of energy and changing to renewable. I'm sure that Sherilyn has a lot more of investigation than me in this topic, but it's also true that I think that the debate is focused on how the United States and Europe cannot technically demand the most pure countries to switch to renewable energies, given that all the wealth that Europe and United States have gained is because of fossil fuels. So the main solution is to change by funding, so helping the point of a start for the country to develop, so the country can start to develop from directly renewable energy like solar power or aeolic power. It's clear that it's much expensive, and that's why some countries are not using it, but I think it's the main way to work towards that. Also in the next slide, I suggest reforestation, not just as a solution, but also as environmental justice that we as humans have with the world. We cannot just take all the wood in our planet and leave it like that. There has to be reforestation. And I see that the deforestation that business are doing cannot be fought with only an individual solution. It has to be an state or a country politic towards that, and maybe like something that we can impose to the business, that if they take wood, they have to replace it with the double of it, or maybe 1.5. But it's not something that we can let just disappear, like the Amazonas forest or the main Greenland that we have in our planet, without trying to fight against it. And finally, I'd like to suggest in the last slide to recycling, but I think that we have to take it to another level, not just recycling in our house, but building the product in order to recycle it. Sorry, I think that it's pointless to make thousands and thousands of plastic bottles if we are not thinking that this is going to contaminate. No matter if we recycle, is going to end in the sea, in the ocean. So it's the duty of the business to make some carton-related, carton-based products, or maybe plant-based, not only plastic. Of course, we cannot ban plastic because it's the cheapest way to make a product and the most profitable way. But as a society, we must change our paradigm to a more sustainable way of producing things. And finally, I'd like to say that the change is possible, as we see in these pictures, really colorful. Maybe you're thinking that this is AI, but no, this is real footage of the nature in our world. And I think that we should work towards the protection of this beautiful landscape that we have. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Yasin. In fact, it is really possible. The change is possible, especially having the youth mindset that you have right now. So thank you very much for that. And now I'm moving on to Sherilyn MacGregor for, again, from that wonderful feedback that you can give to our children who are really into these kinds of solutions. And finally, maybe we can also make our closing remarks after this. So take it away, Sherilyn.
Okay, thank you. Well, I have a few words that I will like to use to kind of frame my feedback. Innovation, mitigation, prevention, awareness, and justice. So I'll quickly say something about those 5 words. First, well, we heard a lot of interesting ideas about innovation from the presentations, and it's very quite inspiring to hear the young people who will be the next generation of scientists, philanthropists, diplomats, policymakers, who have all of these ideas for how to innovate to be able to solve these serious problems of climate crisis and pollution. So we heard about we heard from Asmaa about the use of plastic to make housing materials, and a very interesting idea that could solve a couple of different problems all at once. So taking plastic bottles out of incineration or landfill and actually being made into bricks to build houses, which was a very very interesting innovation. So technical solutions like that, innovation is so important to thinking about how do we solve these problems. But we also need to think about mitigation. And we heard from Hadassah that we need to think about how to clean up the plastic that is already in the marine environment. So we need to think about ways to make the problem less serious by cleaning up, by trying to reduce the amount of plastic in the marine environment, to make sure that that when people are fishing, that they use a different type of material or actually take out the plastic from the ocean. Prevention. Now, Yassine made a very important point that recycling is not really the answer to tackling the problem of plastic in the ecosystem, and plastic that is creating microplastic as a terrible threat to human and other species' health. So prevention is really the top of the waste pyramid. We have to think about how to stop using plastic altogether. We know plastic, as was said earlier, is made from fossil fuels. We can't be extracting fossil fuels to make plastic that is then put back into the ecosystem as a form of pollution. And even as recycling may be something that we've been all taught to do as a solution, it's not the best solution. I mean, obviously, we heard about one option, which is to reduce the amount of plastic that is wasted and goes to landfill through the bottle scheme, the reverse vending system. And I think definitely that's a kind of incremental type of change that can help to clean up, can help to reduce, but it certainly isn't overall necessarily stopping the production of plastic that we know is such a problem. So we need more ideas and more innovations to be able to think about that problem and think about the root cause of that problem. But definitely it's an important challenge to think both about mitigation and prevention in our solutions. Several people talked about awareness. We heard about the way that the school in Scotland, that Raniyah and Inarah talked about, that their school is very much about raising awareness and thinking really about real world action. What kinds of real world action can people take towards sustainability, and building people, certainly younger people's awareness of the problem and how it's all interconnected and how it needs to be addressed. And certainly part of awareness is not just about what causes the problem, but also awareness is about thinking about the values that underpin people's concern for the environment, and really making it clear that so many of us all around the world have values, from whether it's from our faith or from our philosophy or from our family and our tradition, that we care passionately about the world that we live in, the ecosystems that enable us to live. And those types of values are very much a part of this process of raising awareness. And of course, young people have a very strong voice, and certainly we know they use that voice to help to really to advocate on behalf of change. And finally, this comes to the concept of justice. And Yassine talked about this too at the end, that so much of this is about political will, political change, the need to say that, yes, we know that there are technical solutions, but technical solutions will come too late if we don't really address the types of political changes that need to be made to address inequality, to address the unfair distribution of wealth in the world that needs to be addressed, so that people can afford to live well and to use their wealth and use their resources to try to implement the types of solutions that we've heard today. So again, innovation is very important, and many young people will be the innovators of the future. Mitigation is important. We have to stop causing these problems. Prevention, as I said, we need to think deeper at the systems that are really causing these problems, the extraction of fossil fuels, the extraction of resources that we don't need to be using and then only to waste. We need to definitely ensure that people are aware and can act on their values and their concern and their passion for the environment. And we need to make sure that that passion leads to demanding change from the people who have the power to make the change. So I think those were excellent presentations about the types of solutions, and I think I loved Hadassah's phrase that with ambition we can do anything, and that's a very positive thing. And change is possible, as Yassine said. Perfect way to keep thinking positively, even though we are very aware of the serious problems that everyone in the world is facing right now.
Right. Thank you very much, Sherilyn, for all of those insights. In fact, you have actually mentioned all of these, and I don't need to summarize them because you have done very, very well of with your feedback. And of course, all of us, our very young enthusiasts of the environment right now, really said so much of their problems and of course their solutions. So I would like to take this opportunity, because of our time constraints right now, we're supposed to be ending in a few minutes. So again, I would like to thank all of our presenters and of course our guest Sherilyn MacGregor from Manchester. Thank you very much for what you have just mentioned. Of course, we also have Hadassah there, we have Yassine, Asmaa, the Ali sisters, and of course we also have the parents, Dr. Ala and of course Ma'am Aisha, Muhammed, Azzam. Jazakallahu khairan for all of those that you have mentioned, because we cannot thank you enough for being young, yet you have that kind of mindset. Your dedicated ideas are actually my means of telling myself that really the world will have its hope in the future, because you actually exist and you have this inspiring youth who are actually very willing to change the world. So this is already a success by just hearing all of you. Your bold voices, your innovative ideas and tireless efforts in doing all of this will definitely fuel the hope of our future, and hopefully to sustain our future. So once again, as MACFEST 2025 Youth for the Environment is about to end, I would like to end this by carrying our ideas forward and act for our communities. Jazakallah again, thank you. And this is your host once again, Sorhaila Latip from the Philippines.
Thank you so much, Sorhaila. That was fantastic. Sherilyn, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all your remarks. And guys, you've been fantastic. Honestly, it was amazing. You're really giving us a hope to think that you will also be able to see all these wonderful landscapes and places in the world in the future, and maybe your children will be able to see them. Because the truth is, it can all disappear very quickly if we continue this way. Yes, so before we finish today, I would just like to remind everybody we've got still a couple of events coming up. We've got an important event next week on Wednesday at 7 o'clock in the evening, UK time, remembering Srebrenica. It's the 30 years memorial. It's an important event, and I think it's equally important for young people and older people to join. For young people to also find out, to listen a little bit more about what happened 30 years ago. And then we've got ecology and poetics on Saturday next week at 2 o'clock UK time. And after that, we've got a fashion event on Saturday, 5th of July, and the historic art of Palestinian embroidery on Sunday, 6th of July. We also have a MACFEST Heritage Tour to Cambridge Mosque, if anybody would be interested to join. So thank you so much for today, and I'll see you on the next event.
Thank you, Katarzyna, and thank you, a big thank you from me to all our splendid, marvelous young people. My goodness, you are absolutely amazing. I just can't believe the sort of presentation you presented, just simply marvelous. There's no words for it. Well done, you all, and thank you for all the hard work. And thank you, Sherilyn, for presiding over this. That was really very, very useful and very inspirational. And of course, thank you to my lovely Sorhaila for doing a marvelous job as always, for hosting this amazing panel. And every year it gets better and better. The children, the young people are incredible. They are our future ambassadors, of course. And then thank you finally to my own wonderful team, Tom and Katarzyna and Hanan, of course, who been supporting the young people throughout for this amazing panel. And finally, the last word for our wonderful attendees who've given us their time, including Yvonne from Indonesia, other people from around the world for joining us. Amazing time with these young people. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. See you, inshallah, next week.